Hello, welcome to Follow Everton. I'm here with Jonathan and Basil to react to Everton's 2-0 defeat at Chelsea. And where the hell do I start with that? I mean, I've got so much to talk about. Feel extremely deflated. I think that's a massive opportunity miss there. I think that was a 6-pointer and we've completely gone there. We were too shy. We were negative in the setup. And Chelsea completely controlled and dominated that game. Would you agree with me straight away on that comment there?
Yeah, pretty much. It's just very frustrating and disappointing. Obviously, it's not even like we've gone there, we've given it a good try, and we've come away with nothing where we should have done. We were completely dominated in all aspects of the game. And it's clearly proven that we're not up to scratch with the top teams, especially in that performance. And yeah, it's just very disappointing to see.
David, to come in there.
The contrast between us and Chelsea and some of the other big sides we have played this season. I know we have won some games against big sides, so we can take some credit from that this year. We haven't done that in the past, but there is a gulf between us, and we've just seen it in that.
But we beat them at Goodison, David.
We beat them at Goodison quite a few times the last 2 years.
Yeah, but the difference is that now they're a team that have got their management sorted. They're in top shape. That is a team which are in top form. And to be honest, I don't think most teams would be able to put up a good performance against them. So
we haven't won at the Bridge for so many years. It's another one of our hoodoos.
And it's annoying, but I think there are still positives to take from the game, although there are few. We can't feel completely defeated. We still need to look up. They are a very, very top team in very good form. The performance was poor. I'm not defending that. But we can't forget that we do have opportunities to improve. And Ancelotti's only just come into our team and he is making improvements, but it can't all expect it to be done there and then with a click of a finger.
How poor do you think that was then? Do you think that was Chelsea, or do you think we were just poor?
Look, there are aspects of both. I think Chelsea put in a very good performance defensively and attackingly. I think we were lackluster in most areas of the pitch. However, if we were up against a different team, I think we could have done away with a few points there. I think the attack in the final third were pretty much nowhere. We were strong defensively until the goal went in. I think we put up a very good defensive performance to start, and then I think as soon as that's where we started to fall down. I think Jordan Pickford was absolutely outstanding, which I'm sure we'll discuss later on as well. I think apart from the penalty, I think he was one of the better players on the pitch. And although it's a poor reaction, I think at that point he was committed to the tackle. Obviously it wasn't good and it ended up being a penalty, which it was. But I think the saves he made really did keep us in the game for so long. And we just couldn't provide anything at the other end. Again, I think I've always been very positive about Ben Godfrey. I think his performance today was probably the worst one he's had. It was very difficult and frustrating to watch. Again, Holgate was very, very poor. He's been quite poor for a few runs of games now. Overall, the team was just poor. That pretty much just sums it up.
Okay, I'm just coming into this comment. Hi, Alex. He's commented through Periscope. I don't know whether the Periscope live commenting is working because we've had some problems with it before, but we do want a lot of comments. And if it isn't working, then you can watch this over on Facebook. Search for Follow Everton on Facebook. We've got 2,500 people
and
on
YouTube.
there. And YouTube, yeah.
On YouTube.
Up to 56 subscribers on there now, which is not bad for 2 weeks. Thank you very much. This comment from Alex: squad is bare thin, lose a couple of first team players, and we are so short. The bench was poor. He's spot on. I mean,
we don't have the options.
Bench. Look at Chelsea's bench. Look who they brought on. They put Kante on. They've got a plethora of players, and we bring in on Tom Davis. No disrespect, but you can't compare. We've got a bunch of kids on the bench. Alex is spot on there, isn't he, Basil?
The squad's really, really thin. I mean, you look at our bench and the 3 players you'd expect us to bring on, the 3 that have got, a decent amount of credentials behind them, they came on, but we had nothing else. If we wanted to change the game, change the formation, Defensively, we had no subs we could have brought on in reliable terms.
In our
But
defence, I'm not trying to do a Liverpool here, but we do have some injuries, and the people that I would have brought on are the people that aren't able to start. We had Coleman, who would have been, I think, a big help. We had Rodriguez, which we were missing that final creative play forward. Sigurdsson pretty much did nothing. It would have been good to see him come off for James Rodriguez. I know the squad is thin, but the players we would have brought on were injured or unavailable.
For me, there was
we're going to come back to that. Actually, we'll come back to that, John, later.
There was 3 key players that I thought we missed hugely today. Number 1, Yerry Mina at the back. We looked a bit shaky at the back. Holgate's just not reliable on a consistent basis. Second one, Decore. The right side of the pitch was so exposed. We needed those legs. Alan can't do the job all on his own. And thirdly, you've already said, James, we couldn't unlock Chelsea defence at all. It was all either a punted ball that would very often be mopped up by Zuma or Christensen, or it was a very slow build-up from Everton. We would tend to pass back, and then by the time we get the ball to midfield, Chelsea had all their players behind the ball.
Yeah. I just want to bring this comment in as well.
Actually. Go on, John.
There's a bit of a delay, so sorry for interrupting. I just want to say that, as you two will know, I was messaging you during the game. I think Gomez as well. He doesn't have the ability to turn around and pass forward. Every single ball he has delivered has gone backwards, and it's just very frustrating, the whole form of play. Chelsea were really coming at us from the back, coming forward with pace, and I just feel like we couldn't keep up with them. Their players, James, Havertz, they were all sprinting. They just get past us, and then it would either result in a foul, or we just wouldn't be able to keep up.
We knew that was going to happen, John. We knew that was going to happen the minute. I mean, we watched a lot of Chelsea this season. They play now with a lot more tempo and a lot more pace and energy, and we just didn't have that answer. And obviously what Alex is saying here, Holgate got the early booking, which ruined his game. He had to back off for the rest of the game. You are partly right, but I think they definitely exposed that side, as you say, with Gomez and Calvert-Lewin kind of having to cover that right-hand side. He's not really doing any work in his best area, which is central striker. And I just don't think this system's going to see the best out of him. Next comment, also from Alex. Alex, please, if you're not already subscribed to the channel, find us on YouTube and subscribe. Good to hear from you. All of the Chelsea bench walk into a first team today. Yeah, a lot of them do. I mean, I'd have Kante in there. I'd have a lot of those players. Certainly get on the bench. But most of them in there.
They'd all walk into our first team.
They're international.
Stephen,
yeah, go on. Sorry, the delays are quite annoying here. There was a
very
comment
good side. John, go on.
Sorry, there's just one comment that I want to read out before we get very, very negative. I do want to stay positive, and it was a comment on Everton, on an Everton group on Facebook, and I'll read it out to you. It says, "To be fair, we are not ready yet. Next season, a few more quality buys, a good run in Europa League, and we'll be in the hunt for Champions League. We have not got the squad Chelsea have. Next 2 seasons under Carlo Ancelotti, just being honest, once a blue, always a blue." I think there is a lot of things to take from that. I know I've been very positive this season, wanting to push for Champions League. But if that's the teams we're going to be facing in the Champions League, they are the best of the best in the Champions League. And we really do need to have a few good seasons, a few good runs before. Carlo Ancelotti's only just come in. And obviously he can't win us a league in one season. He's come for a project, as we've seen, and he said he's staying until we get to the new stadium, at least, which proves that it's a long-term project for him. Chelsea are a very, very good side. And as Stephen Grant has said, lost to a very good side. No real shame today. Big improvement on last year. It is, if we played our team last year against this team, we would have got absolutely battered. We would have lost probably about 5-6-0 because they got through many, many times. We played well defensively to keep them out. Pickford played a very good game, except for the penalty, which again I'm sure we'll discuss in a bit. But I think he was very on it. We just lacked going forward. You really didn't have any chances. I think the quality of passing was very, very weak. They were too loop balls, or they just weren't going to the right man. Very weak. If you look at Chelsea's build-up of play, it was direct, quick, short passing, and they just walked circles around us.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, John. One more final comment from Alex Smith. One final comment shows how far we've come that we're disappointed about losing to Chelsea away. Obviously, last year we lost to them 4-0, and this year we lost 2-0. And I think the difference between last year and this year was last year we had wide open midfield. We actually played a bit like we tried to do in the last 15 minutes. We were just so exposed. They were passing through us. It was very stretched. And I think today it was more down to the individual errors, defensive errors that cost us. I thought Pickford did play really well, except for that penalty, which we'll come on to. A lot of individual mistakes across, that back line. In terms of going forward, I'm just not convinced playing without wingers is really going to get the best out of Calvert-Lewin. You could argue that Iwobi is a winger, but his end product is shocking. It stinks.
There was a very poor delivery to our strikers, which didn't really give us opportunity. I think we had a few shots and they were miles high over the bar because they were just twatted at the goal from right outside the box. The chances we did have were half chances. I think we really didn't have the delivery to Calvert-Lewin.
We didn't create anything, John. We didn't create anything, mate.
Yeah, that's basically it. And obviously,
more creativity in a crash.
Yeah, Sigurdsson. We should have made subs earlier on. Obviously, the bench was very, very poor. Sigurdsson didn't really provide anything. Gomez should have come off much earlier. By the way, Alex, don't make one final comment. Keep them coming. It's great to hear from you. But it's just very difficult to watch. It's frustrating. We should have played better, but we do need to remember that we do have a few injuries. That wasn't a full strength squad, and to only lose 2-0 when we're clearly not at our best, it does say something about our quality. And the fact that we are disappointed, the last comment's very, very on the money. The fact that we are disappointed against a top informed Chelsea side, it just proves that we do have a lot to go and we are moving in the right direction as a club.
You say we're only disappointed with only a 2-0 loss, but that it wasn't good. We didn't lay a glove on them the whole game. And as this comment has said from Jasmine Miller, Chelsea played poor too, though not up to their best standard either. Awful game in total. I wouldn't quite say Chelsea were poor, but they certainly didn't have to do very much to bypass us. They just played the normal game of keeping the ball, being patient, and they found opportunities through our mistakes, really.
Chelsea actually did what I think we were going to do to them, which was try and wait for individual mistakes, except they made none. And we made 2 at least. I mean, we made a lot more, and they had chances to score more goals. But yeah, Jasmine does make a good point. Chelsea went at their best, but they were still a lot better than us. We just got a new subscriber on the channel, Jay. A shout out to you. I don't know if you're still watching.
Welcome to the channel.
Welcome to Follow Everton. It is a brand new channel. We're going places. Friend of mine who is on the Everton. The fans forum, I think it is, spoke to him before. He confirmed he thinks Decore is going to be missing for up to 8 weeks. And the club are saying it's a training injury, but he did come off against West Brom. That's a massive loss because you could see today we were completely exposed, especially when that game got stretched in the midfield. Now, I'm going to have a look chronologically at some of the notes that I've made actually throughout the game. Was getting more and more wound up, as you can imagine. Everton couldn't cope with the Chelsea press is something that I think really stood out.
I think you were very right when you said before. I think they used the tactic we were going to use against them, but it just failed. I think we were going to wait for the counter and just hit them with pace. We were way too slow on and off the ball, which is why we got a few bookings and a few free kicks given the other way. We were just too slow. We'd always be behind them, one step behind, and then that caused a foul instead of being in front of them, ready to take the ball away from them. And then when we do go forward, we just didn't have the pace to be able. We were too slow with it. We need to have the quick passing, direct play, quick movement, and instead we were sitting, waiting back. And then the Chelsea team just sprinted at us. We'd panic, turn around, and go back. And then when we did get any opportunity, the delivery, the final part, it wasn't strung together well, and we just failed. So I think overall, Chelsea. I think as Jasmine just said, I would disagree with her slightly and say that it wasn't like a poor performance. I think we played poorly, not really Chelsea. And as Basil said, they didn't have to do much. It is frustrating to see, but we need to do more in the final third. I think the defensive play was decent. We did make a few mistakes, but the thing is, you can't make any mistakes if you're not going to go and score, or if you're only going to score one. And I don't think that's the usual Everton team that we're used to.
Okay, fantastic. Just had a really nice message from Alex from before, who sent me a direct message on Twitter. Thoroughly enjoyed that stream. First time I've watched one of yours, to be honest. Super work, though, lads. Keep it up the effing toffees. Thank you very much, Alex. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do so. This channel is brand new. It's only a couple of weeks old, but we have been posting a lot of stuff out there on social media and our website for a very long time, almost 15 years. So keep a lookout for all of that. So again, some of the other comments are made, obviously, about the press. I think that is a really important thing. Chelsea just didn't allow us anywhere near as much time on the ball as we allowed them. And that is frustrating. We seem to press as individuals rather than as a group. And I found that very infuriating. Some of the other things I've said, Holgate sucked in time and time again with Hudson-Odoi. He followed the runners in all the time, and then he left a lot of space in behind. I think we saw that for the first goal. And Iwobi's basically playing as kind of like a right wing back. But that goal was a bit of a shambles all around, wasn't it? Everyone's dragged out of position.
I wouldn't, to be honest, I wouldn't blame Godfrey for the final touch that's gone in. They have said that it's gone down as an own goal because the ball was going wide. But if I was Godfrey, I would be in the exact same position he was, trying to block the ball. It was unfortunate, but I don't think the fault lies with Godfrey. If you actually look up in the build-up play, Holgate is very, very out of position. He hasn't tracked the man at all. The ball has gone in, and then they've allowed for the cross. And obviously, it's unfortunate what's happened, and we've conceded. But I wouldn't lie the fault with Godfrey.
No, John, I'm not saying it was Godfrey's fault.
You can almost break the game up into 4 quarters, really. You had the first quarter, we tried to sort of match them up in terms of formation by playing the 3 at the back with the 2 wing backs. And you saw from the first goal, that was really the turning point, because for the first quarter of an hour, we kind of controlled the way that they were passing out. I mean, a lot of the times are quite rigid midfield, narrow, was stopping them passing through the lines. But when they got, it was an individual error that came about, wasn't it? Holgate rushes up the pitch to try and close Hudson-Odoi. And Iwobi just doesn't have the tactical awareness. He didn't seem to want to be on the pitch, really. He just didn't track his runner. And even worse,
me up so much.
It winds me up more than Iwobi not tracking his runner. What winds me up the most is Holgate jogging back like a lemon, just watching it happen, but right in front of him. But yeah, I don't attach the blame to Godfrey. I think it was a bit unlucky, but if we're going to be so poor on that right hand side, then we're going to deserve to be conceding, aren't we?
This is why I didn't play Holgate in my prediction of the team. I think he has been very weak over the last few games. Although I guess you could say, who else would we put? Because I didn't realize Coleman was also injured. Yeah, we are struggling now. But we need more squad depth. I think the team is strong when it's at its full strength, but obviously you can't always rely on that. And we're going to need a few signings to back us up in the for the next season and in the summer.
We're not going to have the whole team fit at any stage. It's impossible.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So that's why we need more squad depth, because it's very, very noticeable when we have a few players out.
I mean, Ancelotti, in the pre-match interview, he was asked about the starting 11, and he kind of laughed it off and said, he hopes that his changes were going to work. I mean, he was probably thinking that they didn't work because, that formation didn't really work, in my opinion, with the way that Iwobi was put into the fullback position.
He basically played right wing back. By the way, how good is Basil, aka David? Stream quality, his camera quality, I should say, so much brighter and clearer. We just all invested in a little bit more equipment. Also, John, you can tell his is a lot better than last time. Give us a thumbs up for that. If you're impressed.
Beautiful faces.
Compare this with the first video. It's a huge difference. We've got a new camera here as well. Yeah, so on the Holgate thing, obviously, David, you make a really good point. But what's really noticeable is when we do switch that diamond and he asks the fullbacks to go forward, we've got Digne on the left. Obviously, he's got good delivery, but Holgate's delivery is just terrible. I mean, he's quick, but he doesn't offer enough going forward. And I don't think that formation of the diamond is going to help him. It's a formation that would be effective if Coleman was playing or if we signed someone like Max Aarons who can cover the whole flank.
Yeah, it's not really built for him, is it? He can't cross the ball. How many times has he had a chance to cross the ball the last half a dozen matches and he's overhit the cross and he's gone out? No, it doesn't suit him. And we're kind of more suited on paper with the players we have to play with wing backs. And, then we don't need to play wingers. We can play everyone central and have three at the back. But that never seems to work either. So we need to address it somehow. And it looks like we need to go big out with it, spend big on the right back. That to me is a priority, and a right winger
who can stay fit and be consistent, because I just look at the team now and I think we haven't got wingers who are consistent. Richarlison's best position is up front, so you've got to really keep him as close to goal as possible. And then the fullbacks, obviously Dean's got an amazing delivery, but at right back it's just been hit and miss. We don't know what we're going to get. Even from Coleman when he's played, it's not been so consistent. Some of the other things obviously I've written I want to talk about. We were too slow and took too many touches on the ball. And kind of when we get impressed, you've got to move the ball a lot quicker, don't you?
I've said that so often. We were far too slow on and off the ball, but especially on the ball. The touches being made they're trying to, instead of moving the ball forward and playing around with it, they're stopping the ball dead. They're like trying to take fake shots and fake passes. But when you've got 3, 4, 5 Chelsea players sprinting at you who know what they're doing, closing it down, your only option is going to be to go backwards. Whereas if you watch their style of play, they're taking 1, 2 touches, flicking the ball around, getting past us, moving forward, and then we have to track back and sprint back.
They look like a team with chemistry, John.
We were playing 11 individuals. 11, maybe less. They were playing as one team.
Yeah, it often feels like 11 individuals. You're right, because they're just thrown out on the pitch. It's like we don't do any passing drills in training. Like Chelsea, Tuchel comes in within like a couple of matches. They've got them passing like possession stats up to like Man City's level. So, we've got to do some more drills or something in training. It's
very difficult to comment on this game for me. I think the whole performance was just very, very poor. There were so many things which I would have liked to see different. It's just very frustrating to watch as well, because it's not the usual standard that we should be at.
It is for me. It's one of those you just stick in a drawer and you just got to move on to the next.
Can't really do that though, unfortunately, because they're a direct rival for the top 4. I mean, Carlo will say he's not going for top 4, but realistically, that's a massive loss today. That's a massive.
We needed to, to get a point really at least, just to keep them close to us. But now, how many? They're 4 points off, aren't they?
We still do have a game in hand, and the next 2 games are games that we should be winning. Obviously, we'll have to wait and see what the results are, but I'm confident that those are going to be wins. Obviously, West Ham are winning at the moment, 1-0 against Leeds. That puts them back ahead of us as well. But to be honest, if we beat Chelsea, sorry, not if we beat Chelsea, if we win our game in hand, we will still only be 1 point behind Chelsea, and we will be 2 points behind West Ham. 2 points behind West Ham if both teams win their game. So it's not like we're completely out of it. It was an important game. We obviously haven't come away with the result we wanted, but I think it's important to focus on the next games. We're obviously going to have to improve for the next games, but just focus on training on the different aspects that we need to.
Yeah, we know we're not at the level of Chelsea at the moment, and probably Man United, but we've managed to stick fairly close to them in the league all through the season. So there's got to be some credit there. I mean, from what I've seen so far of Man United and Chelsea, that they're in a bracket above us, with Man City even higher than them, and I'd put Leicester in there as well. So I personally don't think we can finish in the top 4. I mean,
I don't think we're. Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say we've got a chance, but personally, I don't feel like we're going to fall short. I think we're going to finish 5th or 6th.
We're missing a few key ingredients, unfortunately. And you look at the teams like Leicester, and I'm not blown away by them. I think we could be as good as them on our day, but we need recruitment in certain areas. It's going to take a long time.
On our day, yeah. If we had the starting 11 fit today, we would have given them a better game. But we're not on our day. We have to increase the depth of the squad, as we said. I mean, going back to the game, so after the goal, for me, it's weird because we started the game, first 30 minutes, a lot of it was lumping the ball up because we were afraid of their press, and we did research that the press they were going to do.
Which is fine if you win the second balls.
Which we really didn't, even though we had a packed midfield. And then once we conceded it all switched to let's try and keep the ball. I'm not sure why we changed the tactic so soon, but yeah, it was all possession football, but so slow.
And we pass back all the time. All our passing is backwards, and you can hear the manager going forward, and it's always a safe option. Then back to Pickford, punted forward. We lose it. We lose the second ball. I think, yeah, it was like we were playing two different systems today. And it's
second half, we tried to step up the line. The defensive line was stepping up a bit more, trying to get the team closer together so we could put passes together. And you saw for the goal that we didn't put any pressure on. They play a ball through the channel, through our high line, and the penalty's given away. So ultimately, for me, it all comes down to one individual mistake, which was the first goal with Holgate and Iwobi, and that causes our response in the second half, which then causes the penalty. So, you know, if we can't make individual errors at this sort of level of game and expect to get away with it,
I think the first 30 minutes we controlled what we allowed Chelsea to do, and then, as you say, we made that terrible collective error. I'm not placing any blame really on Godfrey for that. It was a collective error, and then moving forward on for that, we didn't really show much of a fight back. I thought it was we didn't look like Everton that we'd seen in recent weeks, and then obviously in that second half, I'm firstly going to draw your attention to the handball incident. A friend of mine messaged me, Ollie, I don't know if you're watching. He said that he thought it wasn't a handball. It hit his hand.
It was definitely. I was in the one that got VAR checked.
Yeah, but I just want to add one more thing actually on that. Godfrey stops. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're still checking it. What the?
Yeah.
What the hell?
I think that was a whole mistake. Firstly, we've learned now that no matter if you think it's offside and you're asking the lino to check it, or if you think it's a handball, you don't stop. You carry on playing until the ball goes out dead or the referee actually blows his whistle. You do not let them carry on, because although you might think it, they can go back and check it later. So you always carry on playing. So I think we were very lucky there because although yes, it is a handball, Godfrey does need to carry on. Secondly, I do think it was a handball.
Peter Walton doesn't think it was, John. Former Premier League referee said it wasn't handball.
I think it was the angles he was looking at. I mean, there was one angle where it looks like it's hitting him right in the palm of his hand, and then they show a second angle which is got it hitting his arm, hitting his shoulder. So we didn't know whether those two angles are in the same. Are they the same frame?
But he's blowing the whistle, right? He's blowing the whistle, so he stopped playing, and then they score. Well, you can't check it because you check. I think he thinks it's not handball, but he stopped, so I can't overturn this.
If he blows the whistle before the goal went in, then he can't give the goal anyway.
Yeah.
Do you not remember we played Leicester away and something similar happened where Iheanacho or whatever his name is, Dorito, scored late on, 94th minute, and everyone kind of holds the line and stops, arms up, waiting for something to happen.
You don't switch off. You carry on until the final decision is. It's the same thing with normal play. Like the match isn't over at 90 minutes. It's over when the full-time whistle goes. It's the same thing here until the whistle is actually blown and play is fully stopped. Don't stop running or playing. You need to keep going.
Godfrey stopping, the only advantage that might have given us is the ref thinks, well, if Godfrey stopped, then he probably touched it with his hand. It probably sways the referee a little bit, but
Yeah, but it's all very well saying that. It's not the referee's decision anymore. VAR has completely taken over. It doesn't matter what the referee's saying. They all say about this clear and obvious error, but at the end of the day, there's someone else sitting watching TV at home who's making the decision instead of the referee.
We're getting too caught up with. I know VAR has its faults, but we're getting a little bit too caught up with the handball, and we should probably be more concerned about the ease of lack of pressure on the players that were able to put that chip ball in the box.
Crap defending.
That's exactly what we need to be doing. We need to be sending that ball in, the dangerous ball, put them under pressure, and we just didn't have any of that, which is why they were so easy for them.
In the second half, at the very end of the half, we put the ball from Dean, and it was in a dangerous area that they scrambled, and we were getting chance. And we had men in the box, and we just didn't see enough of that in the second half.
No,
I probably fell asleep at that point, to be honest with you.
That was where the threat was. When we did cross the ball and got numbers into the box, Chelsea didn't like it, and we just missed. I think we missed a massive opportunity. The penalty now. Pickford's rushing out. I mean, that's what happens when you have the high line. You rely on your goalkeeper to come out and try and smother it. But it was shades of Tim Howard there, in his decline. And I thought Pickford up to that point. Some people say having a great game, but I've watched some of the chances back, and a lot of the shots are going out or going wide or going over, and he's still touching them.
Yeah.
So his judgment's poor, and his judgment was poor there. I think
I would disagree there. I do think he did make some incredible saves. There were one-on-ones which he's made incredible saves. It is different. I'd rather him push it out than make the same mistake where he pulls it back in or he leaves it and then it does go.
Penalty, John.
I know. Apart from the penalty, I think he did play well. When it comes to the penalty, I think he has made a bad judgment call. But then when a keeper has committed, I'm saying the original decision was poor for him to commit like that. But once he has committed, he's left himself in no man's land. There's no one else. So he does have to dive. He has to time it rightly. He hasn't, which has gone for a penalty. It was a penalty. And his original decision making was poor. But once you have committed like that, there's nothing else you can do. You can't start running back because it'll just chip it over you.
Game over then at 2-0, isn't it, Basil?
Well, it is. I mean, it was pretty much near. It was nearly over at 1-0. The amount of little attempt we were able to put together before that second goal. But yeah, the game's killed by that point. We just didn't show enough going forward. Everything was a loose pass, or every idea was read by Chelsea. Richarlison didn't really have a good game. He tended to get an opportunity occasionally and fluff his touch. Calvert-Lewin's just isolated, won a few balls. Just didn't really have anything. Sigurdsson was anonymous throughout the game.
Yeah,
got taken off. Gomez struggled. Everyone really struggled.
Even Godfrey was crap overall compared to his normal performance.
It was an off day, wasn't it? But Chelsea have physicality and they have a bit more pace in pretty much every department. You look at Reece James, just seemed to have everyone in his pocket, and
they made 5 changes and had 9 internationals on the bench, which brings me over to looking at our bench, and Carlo did make some substitutions. King came on, and I thought he was a lot brighter than Iwobi. I don't know why he's not playing. He's faster and he's stronger than him, and he's more of a goal threat. The only reason he's playing Iwobi is because he knew he was going to end up playing right wing back most of the first half. So yeah, it's just we're playing into Chelsea's hands a little bit there.
Yeah.
And Bernard as well. I think he was better than Gomez in that. Well, he tried. At least he tried, and he wanted to make something happen.
Yeah, I've said this for a while. I think the issue with Bernard is he's quick on the ball, but I think he's too weak physically. He's a short, small player with pace, but if you come up against any big defender, he's going to get flattened. And he's just not. I think he's a decent player, but he's not really a long-term solution. I think he's too weak on the ball.
He's going to lose the ball on occasion. He will create stuff, but he'll lose the ball. So you've got to have a solid base behind him, a bit like James and Sigurdsson. So we have a lot of those sorts of players who can unlock a team, but the rest of the game can be a bit useless, really. I just want to touch, if I may, a little bit on. I'm just looking on the BBC, not to advertise, but about the ratings they've given that the fans and people watching the game have given. And Pickford, I'm not surprised at all, has got the man of the match, with a 9.19.
Giving a pen away and still getting man of the match.
Because he I agree with Jonathan. He did make very good saves, a double save at the end. One for Alonso in the first half. It could have easily been 2-0.
He kept
And
it
he's
at
getting
1-0
no
for a very long
protection at
time.
all.
No,
he's getting no
getting
protection
peppered.
whatsoever.
He was getting peppered. I wonder. I don't know if you'll guess the other three that got. Three other players got a rating of 9, and the rest of them were all 5 or below. So I don't know who's voting for this, but
Someone's
Who
just
the hell
trolling that.
is the 9? Who's the 9? Because I swear to God, if he's given
The
it to like
9
Holgate,
are
I'll kill
Michael
someone.
Keane, Ben Godfrey, and Mason Holgate. I don't know
Ben
who's
Godfrey is maybe a minus. No, he wasn't a -9, but he certainly.
I'm going to
was
give
not
you
a
my
9.
rating there. I'm going to give you my rating. I'm going to tell you. I'm going to give Pickford an 8. I'm going to give Digne 6, Keane 6, Godfrey 5, Holgate
I'd say-
5, Davis.
I'd say lower.
Gomez 4, Sigurdsson 4. You know, I can't even remember. Alan 6. I think he was probably the best of a bad bunch. He was getting passed around really easily. Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin, I'm giving them both a 0.
To be honest, though, we didn't have the delivery for Richarlison. They shouldn't be like on the wings trying to. They should be in the box waiting when the ball has been delivered.
Completely
To be able
agree.
to.
That's down to the manager and the players he's picked. It's stupidity. You've got 2 players who are really good getting on the end of crosses in the box, and you're playing them as kind of like sort of to cover the wing, and we're not playing without the ball. Stupid.
I think we just got to accept how thin we were in terms of options tonight. In certain areas, we didn't have the ability to set up the team in the way you've just been talking about. And I trust Ancelotti, and he put that team out probably thinking that's the best of a bad bunch. But we've just seen best of a bad bunch is not going to get us into the Champions League.
But when that game becomes so stretched, 75 minutes in, he's made those substitutions, brought Bernard on. That's when you're missing Decore, really, because you can't get up and down and cover that ground. It's a huge loss.
I think Tom Davies was instructed to do that role in the second half.
He didn't do
I think
anything.
Gomez was told to do it in the first half, and he didn't really do much of it.
For me, I would say Gomez was probably the worst, or definitely one of the worst players on the pitch. I would say Holgate was pretty piss poor. I would say Godfrey was, although he did make a few decent challenges, I would say overall he was pretty poor. That was probably one of the worst performances he's played. Overall, it was just very, very weak, and I'm not surprised we lost. I was still confident at half-time when we were only 1-0 down, and that is a credit to Pickford because he kept us in the game for a lot longer than we should have been. But we lacked everything going forward.
Yeah, spot on about Pickford. I mean, 85 minutes, Pickford made a huge save. Davis was caught napping in midfield. It was just kind of set the tone of what everyone else was doing, asleep.
I think as well, once the penalty had gone in as well, I think we just gave up, and then the game was dead already. And at that point, there was literally no coming back. I was still positive for a while, but then it was game over.
I think I said to you in the text, didn't I? Well, I don't feel like we actually gave up. I feel like we stuck in the game. I just think we never started in the first place. We never showed any sort of intent from the first minute. We couldn't get through Chelsea. We weren't great defensively. I just think it was the same all the way through. It was just a matter of how many times would Chelsea carve us open.
Yeah,
it's frustrating.
I've got obviously my friend Steve Blue. If you're watching, how are you, mate? He's just texted me. At least 7 out of the starting 11 never turned up. He's spot on, isn't he? Really, I think only Pickford turned up, and because he turned up and he was so confident, he's obviously rushed out for that and missed it. But all in all, Chelsea, they deserve the win. I'm sorry to say. And Noah, if you're watching, you were better than us, but we beat you last season, I think, at home, or was it the season before? We beat you this season at home.
2 games at home the last 2 years.
Yeah,
with 3 points from Chelsea isn't a bad turn. They won 1, we won 1. You pretty much take that most years, wouldn't you?
Well, if we win our winning game on hand,
when we played them the first time, they weren't the team they are now. If they were the team now, we would have definitely lost both games. Any team Chelsea are coming up against, they better have their shit sorted out because they are on it. It's annoying to see, but we just didn't turn up. Steve is definitely correct what he said, and as we said before, they were individuals performing. They weren't a team at all, and you could really tell that when we were watching them play.
On paper, I don't think there is much of a comparison between Everton and Chelsea. I think starting 11, there isn't a great deal between them, but in terms of squad depth, as soon as Everton get a few injuries like James Rodriguez, he was a massive miss today. I think if he's playing instead of Sigurdsson, that final ball is so much better against Chelsea. Whereas Chelsea can bring on, international players. And just to summarise really what I would say, what I've written, Chelsea have controlled the whole game. We've offered nothing on the ball. We've been too slow, too passive. We've made individual errors, and we can't expect to win a game of football making individual errors against any team in the Premier League.
I think Chelsea also, they just didn't tire. Obviously, we said they've got the depth, they've got the ability to make these substitutions and still keep such a high quality of football. If we bring on a sub, it looks a bit shaky, or it's just trying to cover up where we're looking tired, but they just didn't look tired. Completely, Chelsea deserved the win today. We were nowhere, and I bloody hope we can improve our performances soon.
Are we a flat track bully? Are we just kind of capable of beating everyone who's below us, and we should be beating away from home and then kind of just doing our routine? Or have we got more than that, do you think?
No,
today was a one-off?
I would completely disagree with that. I would say it was a one-off.
That was a one-off. That was us in the past. 3-4 years ago, we were doing that. Now we're sort of winning.
Couldn't be anyone away from home then.
We're winning the away games now that we weren't winning. We're not winning against all those bottom ranked teams, and we are getting some points off the top ranked teams. So it is a different side, but you can see from our ability on the ball. I mean, we've resorted for most of the season now after those sort of the 4 or 7 good games at the very start. Then we had the rough patch. After the rough patch, we've been playing defensive, counter-attacking Italian-style football. And I think the only reason we're doing that is because we just don't have the quality at the moment. And we just need another transfer window or two to bring a few more quality players and start. And then we can go to Chelsea and, and try and attack them a bit more and have confidence that we've got a team as good as them.
I would disagree. I don't think we are a weak side. I still think we are we're performing very well. Obviously, our away record, we had 9 undefeated. Our home record actually was poorer than our away record, and it's actually very, very poor if you look at a comparison of home and away. I don't want to take away too much from the team in general. I think we are a solid team which can put in a very good shift. It's just tonight we were a very different team, and
I think Chelsea, we crumbled.
Yeah, Chelsea is very, very strong. And it was clearly showing. But overall, I really wouldn't say that we're not out of it. It's such a poor team. Obviously, we do need to make a few signings in the summer, improve the depth in the team and the quality. But overall, I still wouldn't put us down as how we used to be. Before we'd be a middle team table, really struggling. You'd win a few games against the crap teams. You'd lose most of the top 6 games. But I really do think it's changing. And tonight is frustrating because that's not the usual Everton quality that we see.
It's a one-off, but I'd rather them a one-offs were against a team that we're not directly competing with for top 4. Because in the grand scheme of things, although, as I said before, he's probably not thinking we're going to go for top 4. He's thinking we're going to go for Europa League. That is it. You don't want to lose points against Chelsea. And I think you'd take a point there. And I think we probably did set up for the draw, and it just didn't come off today. In terms of the bigger picture, we haven't really had a style of play, a distinguished style of play since those first 7 games. And I think that's partly down to the fact he's never had his 11 players available at any one time. Just as we thought everyone was back together, Mina apparently coming back to training next week. Decore goes and gets injured. So he's not got his team together. Rodriguez, obviously, you can't expect him to be fit every week anyway with his injury record. So he's going to need to make 2 or 3 signings, right back, right wing, and another midfielder, so that the players that, when they're injured, there isn't such a big drop-off in quality and he can try and have a style. Because at the moment, I think it is very much, let's cobble whoever we've got together available and play them. And he likes to rotate. But the style, it changes every week. The formation's constantly changing. And I know that you can say that's being adaptable, but I'd like to see Everton have some sort of go-to formation at least, so the players can gel and find that chemistry.
I think you also have to remember though that it is Ancelotti's first season. Obviously, I know,
First full season.
yeah, first full season. He's still trying to find a way where all the players gel, find the best position. I agree with what you say. It's not really adaptability. It's just doing what we can.
Exactly. Doing what we can, I think,
injuries.
the right thing to say. Yeah.
But I do think that over time, again, another side. He's come in for his first full season. He's made some very good signings, which you can't take away from the fact that the team has improved, and you can clearly see that through a good set of results. Obviously, tonight's disappointing, but apart from that, after a first full season, it gives you time to realise on a larger scale. You can't assess the true team's quality over a few games. It does need to be over one full season, and then again next summer he'll be able to fill in the gaps, and then we should really be able even for the first full season to be able to get Europa League where we haven't even previously done before, or really give a good challenge. It's a big step up. So after a first full season and then another summer signing, I really do think we can do well, and hopefully next season when we come back against Chelsea, we'll be able to give them much better performance.
I'm gonna leave on this last question. Would you take fifth place right now, or the table as it stands effectively with Everton fifth? Would you take fifth place?
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely would. If you look at the table, there's apart from City, most of the teams are really very, very similar. You've got West Ham, who probably wouldn't usually be there. You've got us, who probably previously wouldn't have been there, and then you've got all the normal teams. And now, if you actually look lower, there are teams still pushing up to us. You got Tottenham, who are only a couple points behind. You got Leicester and United putting in a shift. Chelsea have found a new run of form. So there are a lot of teams challenging. Fifth is still a very good result. If we got fifth and Europa League, or even sixth, I'm not going to say, oh, you know what, I'm disappointed overall, because it's still a step up. Before, we wouldn't have had any extra European football, and that means that players aren't going to want to stay with us. Whereas Europa League, it just shows that we are moving forward. Again, it's a step in the right direction, and players are going to want to come to us, especially with Ancelotti there. You know, big respect to him. He's accomplished so much as a player and a manager, and people have trusted him. So the commentator said earlier in the game, no matter where he goes, people respect him, which I think is very true. So Europa League is still a great result.
Also thought that Everton finished in the top 6 last season, and he made some other silly comment. Can't remember, but they were factually incorrect a few times. The commentary team.
Right.
Basil, yeah, same question to you though.
Well, right now West Ham are winning the game. I think 2-0. So they've got 2 points on us now. So if they win that game, and they played the same amount as us. So at the moment we're in 6th, and Spurs are just about to come into what looks like quite a run of form with all their attackers on form. So
yeah, but they're flaky. They're flaky. I think they'll lose games.
They're flaky as well. Unfortunately,
I just think we're going to beat all the teams we're expected to beat, and we're just going to pick up. We're going to get something against teams like this.
The trouble is, you can go through the remaining fixtures, and you can go through them. And your likes of Wolves and your Crystal Palace and your Spurs, and you go through and you think, yeah, we should win that. But we won't win. We won't win them. You know, injuries will happen.
But we did West Brom and Southampton. We cobbled a win together.
In previous years, we haven't, and we have come a long way, as Jonathan said. We are progressing. We expect to be in the European positions every season, minimum, and we haven't been for the last few years. So if we can finish there, it will be an advancement on previous years. You know, it looks like top 4 is still on, but we have to put this consistent run that you've just said. We have to beat all these so-called smaller teams, you know, to do it. The FA Cup is still a huge part of our season, and City lost yesterday. So maybe there is still hope that we can get through, but if we do get through, we might get a chance to redeem ourselves against Chelsea. There's no doubt.
I don't want to write off the season. Like, it's still been a very, very good shift from everyone involved. And the thing is, I know we're coming towards the end of the season, but if there's one game left, there's always still a possibility. We've played 27 games. We've still got 11 games to go, and we've got, especially West Ham. We've got them one of the last 2 games of the season. So the fact that we have played the same amount of games, and if they win tonight, then they'll be 2 points ahead of us. But it doesn't matter, because a win against them, then we're back ahead of them. So you can't really focus on like so much the individual. We've still got a long way to go, and there's perfectly still chance we can get fourth. We just need to keep fighting, put this loss behind us, and move forward, because we've got some very winnable games coming up, and we need to focus on beating the teams that we should definitely be getting 3 points against. If we were to beat Chelsea tonight or get a draw, that's a bonus point. But we really need to focus about definitely getting the wins that we should be winning anyway.
We
would have been a bonus
what,
point.
11 games left. I know it's a cliche, but we do need to just, take one game at a time. The season's far from over. In previous years, I've come out of Goodison halfway through the season and had
with nothing to play for. And this is the first time we've got something to play for, Dave.
The season's over. We've walked away and we've lost in the FA Cup, and we've been like 10th in the league or 12th in the league, and we felt like shit. So at least now, these 11 games actually mean something. And if we can win them, if we win them all, we'll finish in the top 4. But, it's in our hands still that we can make this an excellent season. But either way, I still think it will be a good season. And I think we will finish, in the top 7. But let's see. Let's take each game as it comes, starting with what was going to be a tricky test against a Burnley side that have got some good results recently.
Okay, guys. Basil, aka David, and John Ruskin, thank you for joining me. I'm Ryan, your host for this video. Like and subscribe on YouTube if you haven't already. No, we don't have a custom URL, so you can't just go on YouTube and type in Follow Everton in the address bar. But we are over halfway there, so very soon we'll have the URL that we want. And if you're watching on Facebook or Twitter through Periscope, just give this a like, comment, or a retweet, whatever you prefer. We don't mind. We're easy here. And we've also got an Instagram page, John. Do you want to just quickly tell us briefly what this is? You've set
no
an
worries
Instagram
at all.
page up.
It's at FollowEverton, so all the handles for Twitter, YouTube, they're all the same, so it makes it nice and easy for you to go and give us a like or follow. I'll give you a few questions for you, a few polls, keep it interactive. If you have any questions, feel free to comment, and we can make it a personal content around you guys. Few updates. It's all going to be very interesting, and it'd be great to have you involved.
I think
FollowEverton.
At FollowEverton. We've all tried to be a bit cheery on this, but I think we all feel quite deflated, and we're all probably going to go and stick our head in an oven or something. But if you don't do that, then obviously we'll see you on the next video. Thank you very much. Take care now. Bye.
Bye.